Welcome to the Amped Up Podcast, Friday, August 18th, 2023. Edge possibly wrestling his last match with WWE tonight on SmackDown, and it could be the last of his career. We'll talk all about it in today's podcast. We're also going to discuss JD McDonuts weaseling his way into the Judgment Day and helping to remove Damian Priest from the group. That seems to be the creative lock within the company. But BC has a different approach. What if we called an audible, created a swerve, and played a plot twist? BC explains in today's podcast. Also, there were some special guests backstage at Dynamite this week. One of them is returning to action soon in AEW. We'll talk about it. And the latest on the CM Punk AEW drama and controversy with Hangman Page, the Elite, and a ton of talent in that locker room. We have the latest, and wait till you hear this. But all that is coming up. Something just hit the news waves, and it's Cash Wheeler, guys. I'm getting more information as of the recording of this podcast early Friday morning, August the 18th. This story is just coming out, so I'm trying to get the information as it comes. This is not going to be edited. This is just coming across the screen that I do have in front of me. Cash Wheeler has been arrested, one half of FTR, the AEW wrestler charged with aggravated assault with a firearm. 9 days away from All In, Wembley Stadium, a massive tag match with the Young Bucks. But it appears that is now in flux, and even more importantly, Cash Wheeler looks to have bigger problems on his hands. Hold on, let me try to... PW Insider reporting that a hearing is placed for 1 p.m. today. A warrant for Cash Wheeler's arrest was filed on July 28th, and he was booked in Orange County, Florida, through the Orlando police system. Wheeler has pled not guilty to the charge, which is considered a third-degree felony in the state of Florida. AEW has issued a statement. AEW has been made aware of the charge. We are closely monitoring the situation, and as of now, he is fully cooperating with local authorities. The 36-year-old is now facing 1 count of aggravated assault with a firearm. So this is news that is just breaking as we are recording this, guys. So the podcast kind of took a little bit of a turn as BC gives you guys that bit of news. That's pretty massive considering that's one of the big matches for All In. Of course, that's the wrestling side of it. This is a little bit more severe than that, unfortunately, for Cash Wheeler. We'll find out more information. That's all I have for you, so we're not even going to attempt to speak more on this until we get more word. But as of now, in terms of wrestling, guys, that match is obviously now with a huge asterisk. Highly unlikely that match will take place. Now we'll see what AEW, where they go with an audible. Cash Wheeler arrested on aggravated assault with a firearm down in Florida. I guess we'll stick with AEW if you guys don't mind for a second, because the latest report we're getting is now this is a quote from the latest report, pretty reputable. It is 100% confirmed. That's the quote. 100% confirmed that it was Phil CM Punk Brooks that removed or had Ryan Nemeth and Christopher Daniels removed from Collision this past Saturday night. And confirmed that management told Hangman when he got to Collision that it would be best, and let me get the quote for you. It would be best, yes, but keep the peace. There it is. That was the quote that was used in this report. Confirmed. Management removed Hangman Page, and they told him it was to keep the peace. So Phil CM Punk Brooks, we know, had removed Nemeth and Christopher Daniels, and management felt that the only way to keep peace was to remove Hangman Page, one of their biggest stars. So you have to believe that was a call from Phillip Brooks, correct? I mean, management wouldn't just make that call out of thin air if Phillip Brooks was not already kicking people out. I'm just making the most logical call here. If it's now confirmed that the head of talent relations can't even be at his own event, Christopher Daniels, one of the most respected dudes in this business, the head of talent relations for the company, got removed by one of the wrestlers. They had to put the ROH tape matches that Nemeth was going to be in, they had to tape them on Wednesday nights. Colt Cabana, Ryan Nemeth, Christopher Daniels, they're all a part of that ROH show. And others, by the way. And they had to lengthy up Dynamite even more. Pre-Dynamite and post-Dynamite. That crowd was probably exhausted by the first hour ending of Dynamite. All of this because they're trying to appease one dude. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Phillip Brooks is not an EVP, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Phillip Brooks is not an equal to Tony Khan, right? Phillip Brooks isn't even a suit and tie, correct? Then he should not be making these decisions and these calls. Bottom line, enough is enough. Or when is enough enough? I am done with everybody choosing a side. Well, it's not Punk's fault. The Elite started it. It's not the Elite's fault. Punk started it. It doesn't even matter anymore. Your head of talent relations cannot even be in the building. Your main star that was there just to cut a backstage promo, a vignette, a backstage interview, he's got to go somewhere else to shoot it because that's the only way you can keep peace, is the quote. This is the old saying of the inmates running the asylum. Phillip Brooks, even if you call him a draw, even if you want to live in Bizarro world and call him a major draw still in 2023, which no number backs that up, he cannot be a suit and tie if he's not a suit and tie, because that's never going to work in the locker room. You'll never gain the respect of that locker room. If you're going around playing head coach when you're not the head coach. If you're going around playing president and you're barely in the cabinet. You can't go around being more of a Tony Khan than a Tony Khan. And that also falls on Tony Khan. He has to put on the big boy pants. He's got to put on the boss pants. And he's got to start barking the orders and controlling his wrestlers. There's not a damn reason under the sun that Christopher Daniels cannot go to a show when he is the head of talent relations. I don't care if Phillip Brooks doesn't like it, Jonathan Cena, or Dwayne Johnson. Fuck off if you don't like it. The head of talent relations will be there. These individuals are showing up after all the flights and the travel, and they show up to get Das booted? Because Brooks woke up on the wrong side of the bed? If the only way to keep peace is to make one person happy in AEW, Phillip Brooks, when the rating is only pulling in a 450 to 5 flat. Some weeks they get 6. Last couple of weeks, they've been deep into 4. Even without SummerSlam competition this week, they only were able to get the 470 some odd. That's your major draw. And immediately, we're saying it's Saturday night, BC. It's a hard night. It's stiff competition, BC. And college football is going to come back, BC. Well, this was the gamble they made. The biggest draw in 2023, we were told, was still Phillip Brooks. So you stuffed him on a Saturday night. You created a whole nother show when you could not even make Rampage relevant. So instead of helping Rampage, you disintegrated it by creating a third show, Collision. You stuff it on Saturday nights. You take what I was told was the hottest free agent in pro wrestling at one point, and still one of the most controversially epic superstars, wrestlers, Phillip Brooks. You stuffed him on a Saturday on this show, and you thought it was going to create waves in the wrestling world. Well, if waves are 400,000 viewers every Saturday night, then yes, it's a monsoon. And I don't care who cries about it. This needs to be fixed. You are 9 days away from an epic event called All In, Wembley, over 70,000 fans. All of the headlines should be about how exciting this is. The match card is epic, which unfortunately it's not because Tony Khan waited so damn long, and just a couple of weeks ago he started to pencil it in. You'll have some matches that are going to be some good wrestling. Epic? Far from it. But the crowd, right? 70,000 plus, being in Wembley, the event itself is pretty much going to be the main event. That's what Tony Khan is banking on. Okay, let's play that. We still want to see the positive headlines. We want to get excited for the right reasons. Only the negative headlines are out there in the wrestling world for AEW. Only Sports Illustrated just put out an article talking about this drama and controversy, not All In. All you see is this drama. And some people will say, well, it could still be a work, BC. What is the work? I say this all the time like a broken record. They're working themselves deep into the sea. With no life preserver, there's no boat coming to rescue them. They're working themselves into oblivion. If you think any of this has a payoff, sending your head of talent relations home from his own event, if you think booting Ryan Nemeth is going to make people pay to see this drama pay off in the end, gotta see Ryan Nemeth versus CM Punk. No, think. This is not a work. This is a company that is in disarray because Tony Khan is wearing 77 hats. This dude's over there doing a million things in mediocrity instead of a cup of two tree things greatly. And the roster, they don't know who to turn to for answers. Do they go to Tony Khan or do they go to Phillip Brooks? The recent report we heard is now also being confirmed that Brooks and Jack Perry had a heated argument. Apparently, Jack Perry wanted to use real glass in one of his spots. Of course, Punk, Khan, it could be Doink the Clown. Of course you say no to that. And Perry came back with, no, it's just for optics. It's not actually going to be used in the spot. So there's no chance of hurting anybody. It's more for optics. And Brooks scolded him a little bit. That's a confirmed report now as well. It's not about the glass. Of course, again, Doink the Clown can tell you no and he'd be right. No reason to have real glass. The problem is, why is Phillip Brooks having this argument and talking down to one of his boys? That's one of his fellow boys in the locker room. Tony Khan should be having that discussion and scolding them and telling them no and why the reason is no. But Brooks is over here playing more of the role of Tony Khan than Tony Khan himself. Brooks is having people sent home, even the head of talent relations. Top stars like Page. Bottom of the card like Nemeth. Punk snaps. Tony Khan meets those demands. It's ass backwards. There's going to come a point where you have to acknowledge, what are you? Is Phillip Brooks a wrestler or is he a suit and tie? Because last we were all told there's 3 locker room leaders in that company. Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, and Chris Jericho. And the only EVPs Left are Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. So if it's one of those 6 dudes, maybe you could see them having this discussion with Jack Perry. Because those are locker room leaders and those are EVPs. Interesting how the EVPs are not looked at as locker room leaders, by the way. And that's because I feel those roles, those EVP titles, hold them down. And Cody Rhodes knew that as well, and Cody speaks on that. There came a time where Cody Rhodes no longer liked that EVP title, and it weighs them down more than anything, because you can't truly be one of the boys and gain the entire locker room's respect if you're also the kind of their boss. So the locker room, right after the Punk controversy, the 3rd time, by the way, they created new actual locker room leaders, Mox, Danielson, and Jericho. But now it's not even those 6 names. Now we're moving the goalpost. Does Collision have their own leader now? And he's going to come the Wednesday nights or on pay-per-views, and he's going to match the leadership that's on Dynamite or the rest of the company? Because now you have a real issue where you are literally dividing your locker room. You're literally doing that. The quote we are getting is they're trying to keep the peace right now. And the way they're doing that is they're sending people home and keeping people away from one another. If that's how you have to conduct your business, that is what is called a sloppy shop. And everybody, including BC, we called WWE on that for the longest time. Do you guys remember how sloppy WWE shop became to the point where talent, through social media or through interviews, they were basically pleading, begging to get out of what they were calling a prison. It became a prison because the working conditions, the morale, the attitude, everything in the company turned sour in WWE. Well, how long do you think that's going to take before AEW turns the same page? It's already happening. You guys heard, you saw the reports. Just in the past couple of days, a lot of the locker room not happy with how Tony Khan booked and promoted All In. That's a real story out there, man. The Sports Illustrated, they're all covering this stuff. Whether it's the females in the Thunder Rosa situation, keeping the title, again, Tony Khan receives just as, if not even more of the blame because he allows this shit to happen and a lot of it's his call. And he just places the title on Rosa, even though it's a back injury. There's no timetable for a return from a back injury. We all know that. Look at Randy Orton and thousands of wrestlers before him. And you keep the title on her thinking that's going to end well? When there's already heat on Rosa, some of it is absolutely justified. What did you think was going to happen? You create an interim championship or champion and you have Toni Storm parading around and you thought Toni Storm was not going to be upset that she's looked at as a participation champ, a paper champ, a secondary champ? Of course, it was only a matter of time. And Toni was not associated with the Britt Baker clan either. So this wasn't just a Mean Girls thing against Rosa. Even Jade Cargill didn't like the way that whole thing went down. That's the women's division. The men are in turmoil. Tag team, you got one big tag team match for All In, FTR and the Young Bucks. Now that's in jeopardy. You got dudes being arrested now backstage as well. Not backstage, but being arrested down in Florida like Cash Wheeler. We'll find out more information or if that match is even going to take place. Jeffrey Hardy gets his 17th DUI. Who the fuck knows what he's up to? Jeffrey Hardy he had his license suspended years ago. He's been driving ever since. Collecting, wrapping up more fucking DUIs like it's Monopoly money. Gets arrested, slap on the wrist, go home, don't do it again, jumps back into a car, drinks some more. Here he is, less than a fucking year. The second his whole court case wrapped up, he was right back in AEW, falling off the top turnbuckle. You couldn't wait just a little bit more? Why does he have to come right back, get his body more banged up, get his headspace wrong, till it's right back into rinse and repeat, a vicious cycle? You want to come back, that's fine, one day in the future, maybe. But you got to go away for a long time. Rehab yourself, your mind, your dome piece. Get right, dude. There's the same guy that, what was it, Impact Wrestling went in there against Sting. Loaded out of his dome piece. Couldn't even stand up. This is a dude in WWE. He literally left the ring during the match. People like Drew McIntyre doing the crazy sign with his finger to his dome piece. Like, this dude's out of his dome piece. Even if you were done with WWE and you wanted out, you don't leave your brothers in the ring, bro. The match is still going on. And then he collects another DUI, whatever you want to call it, and then he'd bring him right back after the court case. You couldn't just chill on that for a second? The Brooks drama, non-stop. And then you wonder why people say AEW runs a sloppy shop and people, tribalist fans, cry about it. Tough shit. This locker room, this company could have been something special. There's no reason it's not. There's no reason Dynamite every Wednesday doesn't pull 1.4 to 1.5 in the ratings. There's no reason even on a Saturday night Collision can't pull a milli flat, maybe 950, what Dynamite used to pull on the regular. 950. There's no reason, if this was being ran like the well-oiled machine it should be ran as, that AEW couldn't be conquering the fucking world. Yeah, you definitely get a little perturbed when you hear Christopher Daniels can't even be in the arena. And Hangman Page is getting DOS booted because we got to keep the peace. Also known as, we got to make Punk happy. At what point do we just say enough, bro? You ain't worth it. You ain't pulling in 1 million viewers. You're barely pulling in 500. In the past few weeks, you can't even do that. Not even against SummerSlam. You're not pulling in the ratings. You're not the draw you once were. You don't work full time. You're not as special as you once were. That Las Vegas promo for John Cena against WWE, that was many moons ago. You're not worth this shit. Until Tony Khan says that, these are the headlines. Not All In, not All Out, not Fight for the Fallen, not Full Gear, not Double or Nothing, not the new champion, not Adam Cole turns on MJF, not the other way around, not Adam Cole becomes champion, not Bryan Danielson returns from his broken arm. None of it will make the headlines. Instead, we'll hear the latest report that Punk sent home Hangman Page, and he's upset with Jack Perry again, and Ryan Nemeth is on his bad side, and he had an argument with the head of talent relations, Christopher Daniels. Enough. Who the fuck is the boss, man? Who the fuck is the boss in it? Is it Tony Khan? Or is it Brooks? Because right now it's Brooks. And that's bad because now you're going to be hearing these stories nonstop. Because if he's one of the boys and he's telling them what to and not do, and scolding them and having them removed from arenas and shows, you can't be one of the boys and be that dude. Tony Khan has to step up right now. That's the truth. That's not a discussion. It's not a debate. It's what needs to happen. Because it's sad that these are the headlines, and in 9 days you got All In. Man, if you're a big fan of AEW, man, do I feel bad for you, man, that you got to see these headlines instead of getting excited for All In. But I'm sure we'll turn a blind eye. I'm still excited. I don't know. The headlines are funny to me. Well, probably. That pretty much makes sense, and that's why, rinse and repeat, the vicious cycle continues to go round and round like a merry-go-round, right? Because nobody gives a fuck, not even the boss. Everybody turns a blind eye. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Why address it and why correct it, right? That'd be too easy. Or maybe it's too complicated for these schmucks. Moving on. Is that the AEW news? I wish I had more positive for you, man. Dynamite, I caught some of Dynamite. Fine, I've been traveling and conducting a lot of business. I finally saw some of Dynamite. You got a dude fucking chasing people around with a chain. I thought it was Chainsaw Charlie back. I mean, this was supposed to be the alternative to WWE. You got a guy fucking tapping into his inner Chainsaw Charlie, Terry Funk. You can inner promotion to pump up the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay, well, remember when Batista's movie, the zombie movie on Netflix, they were bumping that up. Oh, we rip that apart. I'm not seeing it too much. However, maybe the other drama and controversy is overshadowing it. That seems to be what is happening. But where's all the same outrage? This is not wrestling. Where's all the people that don't like Bray's supernatural powers? Oh, yeah. You don't like it because Bray's not dressed up like a bootleg Texas Chainsaw goofball. Oh, BC is fully amplified, man. Let's go over to, let's stick with AEW real quick because there were some special guests backstage. Summer Rae, former WWE talent, and Lana, wife of Miro, formerly Rusev. Summer Rae, Lana, Jade Cargill was also backstage. Jade Cargill will be returning soon, guys. Big news on Jade. A lot of people thought she might be done. Like, that's it. No, she's not just returning. She's returning soon. Could it be All In? Maybe in that Fatal 4. Who knows, man? Some people would like to see her back. Other people were not big fans of her in the ring, so you're not going to be too happy about that that part of this news story. But the other part is Lana and Summer Rae. Lana, okay. Miro's mostly Collision, though. I don't know. You could see Lana in AEW, guys. Summer Rae, I just don't see a reasoning for it. That's no diss to her at all. With all the female talent that doesn't even get TV time, and with the headache that it clearly Tony Khan already has trying to give them TV time, I don't know why Summer Rae would be on screen. Now, if you wanted to do something with Lana and Miro, I don't mind that because I didn't mind Rusev and Lana back in the day. I told you guys, there's no reason underneath the sun that Rusev and Lana should have failed as heels. That was miserable negligence by Vincent Kennedy at the time. So, if you want to bring Lana back and do something with Miro, I have no problem. Just keep her as the manager, man. No wrestling business. No above and beyond, moving the goalposts, making her the center of attention all the time. No, that's something that Vinnie Mac did with them. Put her we need those legit managers back. The old school Jimmy Harts, Bobby the Brain Heenans, Harvey Whippleman, Slick. You guys remember any of these guys, or am I dating myself a little bit back there, man? The point is, right, you need more of the, let me get a little bit more up to date. You need the Paul Heymans in the business, and we just don't have enough of them. Even Don Callis, even though they put them into storylines a bit more, we don't need to see that from Lana, but you need managers. Just give Miro that manager and side mouthpiece. I think that would actually be good for them. Summer Rae, I don't know. She was backstage. Maybe she's got friends there, obviously. I think we'll stick with the ladies. So we'll segue over to Lacey Evans, former WWE talent. She was not released. She was not fired. Her contract expired. We covered this story yesterday, but now we have confirmation that it was an expired contract. And we have her next move confirmed by Lacey Evans herself. She's opening up a coffee shop, a restaurant, a little deli or a cafe. Now I know, BC, you just named 4 kind of different things, man. Is it a coffee shop, a deli, a full restaurant, or a cafe? I don't know. It's one of the 4. How's that? But she's going to be selling some coffee. So BC is on board with her next endeavor, man. We truly, this is one of those times where we truly wish her the best in her future endeavors, man. She's going to be opening up a coffee shop, a little deli, a cafe, a restaurant. Pick one. Good job, Lacey Evans. It looks like she's going to stay away from wrestling for now. And that's important, guys, why I even brought that up. Her contract expired. She was not released. It's because if she wanted to show up in AEW tomorrow night on Saturday night's Collision or on Wednesday, not saying you guys want to see that, I'm just saying, because her contract expired, she can actually work for AEW or show up with Trinity Fatu in Impact or the local bingo hall with Jackhammer Jenny and Do Nothing Deborah and Receptionist Rebecca and Handjob Holly. They got a pretty good women's division down at the local bingo hall. Anyway, Lacey Evans' next move confirmed a coffee shop, and she can show up wherever she would like to. If you guys are wondering, Dynamite's rating this week, they pulled 870 some odd thousand viewers, a little bit more, I believe. I don't have the exact. I know it's over 870, under 880. So they went up just over 30,000 viewers from last week's 846. Now that's actually decent because a lot of people were panning this show. A lot of people did not like this Dynamite. I'm talking AEW Tribalist tried and true. They said this was all over the place. It was rushed. There was too much going on. Tony didn't let anything breathe. It was not good, BC. This is what I was told by many, many people. What I did see was not good, I will say that, but because I have not seen the whole show yet, I cannot comment any further on it. But Dynamite pulled more viewers than last week, so that's a start in the right direction. The problem that they're still having is they're hovering around their new normal of 850, and that is so sad because for many months they were hovering 950. So to see your own tried and true diehard fans turn their backs on the product because they're saying, deuces, ooses, this is no longer for me, it's not captivating. That's what's sad to see. Every week, their new normal is hovering 850, under 850. Last week, a little over this week, and 9 days away from All In. Man, if you could have just gotten that 950 back, right? Your old normal average. But unfortunately, they could not do that this week. And over on NXT side of things, they dipped under 700,000 for the first time, I believe, in like a month, right? 680,000, I believe, was their... and I think that was after the adjustment. 680 is after the adjustment on the rating. Every rating gets an adjustment, guys, if you don't know. That's a little bit TMI. But NXT had their adjustment. I think they stayed at about a 680. So, there wasn't too much. I don't believe. We're going to get to JR9's NXT report in the Super Thanks section of this podcast. JR9, my right-hand man on the channel, he's going to have his full review and report. He follows NXT extensively, and he goes in on it when it is not producing good television, trust me. So you get the truth from JR9. But I was not able to catch the show. I don't believe there was that much influx of main roster talent, or at least not the Judgment Day. I could be totally wrong. I'll find out when I go over JR9's report, man. But it looks like it settled down to 680. But that could be a good thing. Okay, you took some main roster talent off. The rating went down a little bit, but maybe you started to get better television back. Maybe you got the NXT that a lot of people really enjoyed back, right? So you took a hit in the ratings a little bit, but you're hoping that steady, better television will produce better ratings in the long run. I hope that makes sense. Sometimes you gotta give a little to get a little. I say that all the time about women's wrestling. For some reason, it just does not connect here in the States. So the promoters have to go out on a limb and take a risk. They have to put the women in better spots, knowing that at first they're going to take a hit in the ratings. But hopefully, if you do it correctly and you grow over time that level of care from your audience, eventually the ratings will start to boom. But it's a process. You have to build it. And while you're building it, it's going to cost you a little bit, right? It's like Universal Studios down in Florida. They're creating a whole new universe called Epic Universe, a massive theme park to rival Disney World. Do you know how much money they're losing because it's being built so fast? Do you know how much money has to pay those workers? Is paying for those materials, is paying for everything, week after week, month after month, year after year. While the work is being put into it, who do you think is footing that bill? And you're hoping that once it's built, they will come to that theme park, and you will not just recoup the money you lost, but you're going to get a whole hell of a lot more in the long run. That's what you're hoping for. You're taking a risk that this theme park is going to work, because right now, man, you're getting wabaked financially. Same thing with television for pro wrestling, man. You got to put the ladies in positions where they're going to grow their audience. But at first, you're going to take a hit in the ratings. NXT is kind of like that. You put the main roster talent on, boop, like magic. Ratings catapult into the 750 pluses. Because that's the real test. Will there be a reward at the end of the tunnel? At some point, you have to take the training wheels off and stop putting main roster talent on NXT just to pop a rating. Otherwise, it's just main roster talent demolishing what was supposed to be developmental, and nobody wins. You're popping a rating, but in the long run, you're actually hurting NXT. Because it still doesn't have an identity. The only difference is everybody that we were looking to for the future and who's going to be special, they're getting instantly squashed. 680,000. It wasn't too long ago they were crawling to get out of 500,000 viewers, squeaking into the 600s. 680. They're hovering that 700 still. Next week is going to be crucial number-wise. It's really going to see if the NXT audience is established. Did all the main roster talent, all this Judgment Day business on Tuesday nights, did it really solidify a new audience? Or did you do nothing but squash what was supposed to be developmental, take individual like Wes Lee's championship and put it on a main roster Dominic, Rhea Ripley defeating developmental talent? Did Judgment Day just go there, squash everybody, take off, and took the audience with them? Interesting ratings, man, for Dynamite and for NXT. Now, moving on. Let's go over to, let's talk this real quick. All right. This is, we're hearing that this is now a lock, and it's pretty evident to see where they're going. This is not shocking. JD McDonuts weaseling his way into the Judgment Day, and eventually, possibly sooner rather than later, Damian Priest will be on the outside looking in, out of the Judgment Day. Take your briefcase with you, take your luggage, everything. Take your Senor t-shirts and you're out. But BC has a different way to go about this. Just think about this, right? Let's get a little creative. Let's throw the audible out there, the curveball, the switch up, the change up. Let's do the swerve. A little bit of a plot twist. What if JD McDonuts actually orchestrates the turn on Balor? What if Balor, his good buddy JD McDonuts, when it looks like they're in this partnership, and yeah, it's Damian who looks to be the enemy. He's the odd man out. But what if McDonuts really just wanted to be the one running the operation? What if McDonuts wants to be the leader of Judgment Day? Because we know, even if you remove Damian Priest, Balor's still the leader. Balor is the leader. Right? You remember that they took Edge out really quickly. It was like Judgment Day. It was the inception of Judgment Day. It seemed like just a few weeks later, Edge was already gone. And Balor was the leader. Well, what if JD McDonuts wants to be the leader of Judgment Day and he takes that role? I mean, McDonuts and Balor, that could be really fun. I'm thinking of Priest being out. I don't know how much fun that is, guys. Like, if you really think about it, okay, now Damian's a face because they booted him out of Judgment Day. And BC, it makes sense because he has the briefcase, and you want it to be like a face-type moment when he cashes in. Well, that's not the case. Everybody's going to be a buzz anyway, right? Look at EO. EO cashed in as what was supposed to be a heel at SummerSlam. Everybody loved EO. As long as they get a reaction when Damian cashes in, that's all they care about. He probably won't even successfully cash in, by the way. I don't see... Well, the world title's not even a real chance. Maybe he will win the world title. Nobody even cares about that title, so maybe he will. But it ain't going to be Roman, Cody, or anything happening with that. Even though we have to find a way to get Cody over to Roman for 40. I don't even know how they're going to try to justify that. But I don't know how much fun it is. I mean, there's not that connection with Priest. We like Priest. We want to see him do good. We want proper booking for him. But when he won that briefcase, listen to the crowd. Watch the crowd. Listen and watch the crowd ever since. Senior Money in the Bank. Those t-shirts are not flying off the shelf. And if you think if he turns face, that many more are going to be moved, hey, more power to you. Eye of the beholder. That's your prerogative to think that way. I don't know how fun it's going to be when Priest is going to be in a multi-month feud against his former Judgment Day Brotherhood. Priest versus Dominic every Monday night. I can already see it happening. Priest and JD McDonuts for 2 months in a row. But Balor and McDonuts, not only is that a big plot twist up front, but the matches they would have, Balor and McDonuts. The story and the feud they electrify and create. I don't know. I'm just saying, guys. Okay, that might be a hot take. I may be in left field with a hockey stick. I may be the only one that would rather see that. That's fine. But I know that that'd be more fun for me. If Priest getting Das Boot turning face and holding that briefcase that way, if that's more fun for you, then guess what? You're probably going to get exactly what you want, because that is what we're hearing is a lock creatively in WWE. Priest will be the one out. So don't worry. You're going to get what you want. BC will not. But I would rather it the other way, man. Call a little bit of an audible. Make this fun. Let's get creative. A little bit of a swerve. I guess it's only fitting to end this podcast with, well, we're not ending. Actually, we had a lot of super thankses, man. Some super chat super thankses in yesterday's podcast, over an hour and 40 minutes long. You guys were amped up for that one. I appreciate all the support, man, on yesterday's podcast. That was big. So we'll get to those. But story-wise, Edge showed up unannounced last week, SmackDown. Got this match with Sheamus kind of rushed for 1 week later, Toronto tonight. You gotta wonder, was Edge kind of upset with WWE, maybe for not using him at SummerSlam, or he's become kind of an afterthought? I'm sure when he signed that 3-year deal back in 2020, he thought he was going to be much more relevant, used in a much more bigger role. Some pay-per-views, yes, other pay-per-views not even on the card. And I know he had limited dates, but this has been pretty much of a bust the last 3 years for Edge as a whole. I thought they were going to use him a lot more dominantly. And maybe Edge feels that way too, to the point where he said, you know what? I think I'm good right now. Toronto? I mean, it's the middle of August on a SmackDown. This is where you're going to have your career end? Now, he's not confirming this. This is a quote from Edge. This is a quote, but he started teasing this months ago when he was in Canada. He said, I would love to end my career right here in Canada. And they're going to be in Toronto. And guys, his contract, he confirmed his contract is already over. It's been done since WrestleMania. So he's basically on one of those handshake contracts. You know, a couple pieces of paper, some legalities on it, some dots, or some I's were dotted and some T's were crossed, but nothing like the contract he signed 3 years ago. This is like one of those handshake contracts, where he's date to date, basically. Edge says the following, and I quote, "Here's what I can honestly say. And this isn't the answer everyone wants. I truly don't know. I really, with 100% truth can say that I don't know. And that's strange for me, but I don't. I really don't know. I've put some thought into it, but not a lot. This is the last match on my current contract. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I probably won't know until I get to the locker room that night and decompress. Let all the anxiety and tension that I never used to have before I performed, I have it now. Let that decompress. That's strange for me and makes it that much harder to do this. I'm going to be 50 in October, says Edge. It's not easy anymore. Before, what I used to take for granted to be able to do, now there is a process and a fallout. And there's a lot. It's the dream gig, but it's getting really hard, says Edge, end quote. And when he says it's the last match on his current contract, This is what he already said was an extension of his contract that already expired. So he's already on borrowed time contract-wise. So, of course, he can re-sign. I'm sure Paul Levesque McMahon would love to have him. Would he be used properly? Would he be happy going forward with WWE? That remains to be seen. I also believe that he's going to weigh his option for All Elite Wrestling, guys. You might say, oh, you might laugh at that. BC, come on. He would never go to AEW. Not so fast. You know, it's not just his good buddy Christian is there, but this is Edge. He's a businessman. And if he's unhappy with the booking in WWE, which he has every reason to be, the way he's been used the last 3 years, very odd, very bizarre. And if he thinks there is a light at the end of the AEW tunnel, and there's a lot of money on the line, which there would be, then fuck yeah, he would show up at All In Wembley. Now, a lot of people say that would be a big FU to WWE to show up that quickly, too. Because this is an expired contract. He can show up in 9 nights in Wembley Stadium. Would they do that? Would he do that to WWE? Is that very dishonorable? This is business. I don't know. A lot's on the table, man. But this is a big possibility that tonight is Edge's last match in WWE for good. What we know for a fact, he's already confirming this is his last match on his contract. So no matter what, this is the last match you're going to see for a while. Unless they're inking something as we speak right now, as I record this podcast. He's inking a new contract, and somebody jumps him in the match tonight and starts a brand new feud for Payback or going into the holidays. Possibly, guys. I just don't see how WWE can lose somebody like Edge. So, man, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but Edge, either way, it's going to be an emotional matchup in Toronto tonight, SmackDown against Sheamus. Should be big, man. I was expecting when Edge came back to WWE, or at least this new 3-year deal, I honestly was expecting a lot more. I'm not saying he had to work 200 days a year. That's not what I'm saying at all, man. just for the record. But I thought he was going to be much more relevant. And what we saw from Edge, man, he would show up, he would have a match, he would go away for a couple months, he'd show up for like a year straight. He was just having matches and infused with the Judgment Day. I mean, that was literally all they did. So I just think you could have done a lot more. All right, guys, let me go over to the Super Chat Super Thankses, man. Big shout out to a bunch of my Amplified unit members that chucked a coffee over to BC and the channel in yesterday's podcast. I want to start off with Unique Butterfly. Unique Butterfly, what up? Hopefully all is good. I appreciate the coffees. I appreciate seeing you up and representing the channel more than anything else. Unique Butterfly says, what's up, BC and the AMP unit? As far as all this AEW drama, CM Punk might as well be named Phillip Brooks Khan at this point. It proves Tony's incompetence and negligence as a boss. He is not a boss and should step away from that position and let someone else run it. I think Brooks is running it, Unique Butterfly. I think you're right. Unique Butterfly goes on to say he is merely a mark and toy wrestler collector. Damn! Tell us how you feel, Unique! And to think, a couple of years ago, I was actually advocating to give this company a chance. How far have they fallen? And people still wonder if Cody made the right decision. Pardon me, but today is one of those days, and I'm speaking from the heart. Preach it, Unique! BC did the same thing when I was covering the AEW Punk drama earlier in this podcast. I can't fathom how it got to this point. And sadly, we've been saying this for months and months and months, and it just seems to get worse. Nobody will step up to Punk and say, dude, calm the fuck. Chill. You're not the boss. Unique Butterfly, I remember at that media scrum, the Brawl Out scrum, I remember when he accidentally let it slip. I said this many times on the channel. He said, I'm trying to run a business here. And you got all these people running around that couldn't even manage a Target, I believe is what he said. What do you mean you're trying to run a business? You're trying to do what's right for you and your pocket, no doubt, which you should be. You and AJ Lee, AJ Mendez, do what's best for you, get the best possible contract. No question. You're trying to conduct the best business for you. No question. But what do you mean you're trying to run a business? They're a part of the same thing. They're EVPs. And the other people are those are your fellow brethren in that locker room. What do you mean you're running them? You're not. You're just CM Punk the wrestler. I caught that, and I never forgot that, man, because that showed you what he was trying to do from the jump. He was trying to overstep and outboss Tony Khan, be the leader of that thing. And he saw promotion, and he knew he could get away with it. You know, when he first got there and a lot of the roster looking at him so wide-eyed, like that's the guy that's going to take us to the promised land. It's CM Punk, right? So a lot of and Punk saw that, and Punk absolutely pounced. He took the big gamble at swinging for the fences, Grand Slam style, and he tried to overtake AEW, and he did not succeed. I think he thought he really was going to, get the EVPs under him, everybody, and it didn't happen. But he did swing for the fences, man. He went for the Grand Slam. He at least got a double because he's got Tony Khan in his pocket. And I'm sure he knew if I can just put Tony Khan under me or to the point where he's looking at me for the answers, he's scared to be around my decision making and what I want to have happen on these shows. Well, that's when Punk knew he was gold. And that's where he's got Tony Khan right now. But he did not pull the wool from anybody else's eyes. The elite in a lot of that locker room, they were like, you ain't fooling us, bro. We see right through. Unique Butterfly also says, with another coffee, Triple H, HHH is proven to be more of a narcissist and control freak than VKM himself. And this is a guy that I grew up watching and loved. But I have to call a spade a spade. Darby Allin has every right to express his discontent about how the titles are being represented without worry about punishment and cancellation from would-be fans. This goes to show how people remain and want to remain blind to the truth, which is why AEW, in my humble opinion, will stay stagnant and not grow to its full potential. Check y'all later. Red team go! Gold team go! So Unique Butterfly is giving a shout out to the entire unit. I absolutely agree with every word on Paul Levesque McMahon, by the way. And Unique Butterfly is bringing up Darby Allin because that was a big focal point in yesterday's podcast. Darby Allin calling out his own company and how they're booking one of their main titles. And he goes right out and says, it's being booked like hot potato. So we talked about that. So Unique Butterfly, appreciate you. Every word amplified and nothing but truth. Dante Jaron 23, 2-spot coffee. It's crazy how fans praise CM Punk even though he's destroying the company, and TK is too much of a fanboy to see this. Dante Jaron 23, I appreciate the coffee. Always good seeing you up in here. I agree, man. I don't understand how it even got this far. You got to start to question, does Tony Khan truly care? He's got so many things he does, whether it's the Jaguars football team, the NFL, or his soccer team. All these other side business ventures. He's on committees. Does he really care, or does he just like playing Booker? He's got his notepad and his pencil, and he loves just making matches. And maybe he's just content with that. Because this isn't just out of control. It's been out of control. This is sad 9 days away from All In, and all the headlines are just about the drama. Dante Jaron 23. Appreciate you, brah. You know, guys. We gotta go into JR9's 12th edition of the Amplified NXT Roundup to end this podcast. JR9, my right-hand man on the channel, watches all things NXT thoroughly, by the way. He'll tell you the positives, he'll tell you the negatives. You ain't gonna get no BS when it comes to JR9's review on NXT. I was not able to catch the show. I did not read any of this beforehand, so every word I'm reading for the first time on air with you guys. So I'm going to see exactly if NXT was good or not this week. Did it deserve the 680,000 rating? Now, JR9 starts off this report/review. Now, for 2 points that aren't positives or negatives. Valkyria and Dragon Lee versus Rhea and Dom was set for Heatwave. My concern on this is NXT have booked themselves into a corner as 2 NXT talents can't just lose again, and neither Dom or Rhea should be pinned right now. So this is going to be a tough match to book. HBK must get creative with the finish to protect everyone. Good luck with that, JR9. I don't know if everything is positioned HBK in the best of lights as of late. That's interesting. They made that mixed tag match? Because there's no damn way Dragon Lee can take another L right now, man. No way. In fact, did you see Dijak? I heard what happened. Oh, I'll get to that. JR9, I'll let you go over it, man. I'm already getting ahead of myself. I'm getting amplified already. Also, Corbin said Stevenson won't be back, so it seems WWE have indeed scrapped any plans for Gable, and it's probably for the best with the backlash coming out of the Great American Bash. Plus, we don't need another Olympian when Chad Gable fills that role perfectly. Actually, that was a little bit of a report I saw before going on air for this podcast. Apparently, there's not even talk about Gable Stevenson backstage. So apparently everybody was turned off, not just the fans. Everybody was turned off by what happened with Gable Stevenson a few weeks ago. I just don't understand how they thought that was the best package to bring out, man. That Gable Stevenson, a bootleg Dollar General version of Kurt Angle, literally with the gold medals and everything, the same singlet. Come on, man. And then they wrestled to a no contest with Baron Corbin of all people. Back to the report and review. Now for the positives. Tony D and Stax retained versus the Dyad in a good match. The Creed screwed the Dyad over as Ivy distracted Gacy. Julius, just disguised as a follower of Gacy, took out the Dyad, allowing Tony to win. All right, a little creative there. I can't say I'm interested in anything the Creeds and the Dyad are doing right now, but if you're putting that in your positives, evidently it was done well. I liked this as it gave Tony and Stax a successful defense while also progressing schism in the Creed's story. After the show, Ava challenged Ivy to a match at Heatwave next week, and I'm interested to see how Ava performs in what will be her first singles match. They got to do something quick. This whole schism shit is I don't know where it's going, and I agree with Mickie James. She took a little bit of heat recently by saying that it's foolish and it's not going anywhere and it's not doing anything for Ava. I don't know what it's doing, period. I was on board with it at first, and I don't mind putting Ava, The Rock's daughter, Simone Johnson, with a bunch of individuals in a group. It's only going to help her, so I'm okay with all that. But man, I don't know what this group is really doing, but if you're putting it in the positives, man, evidently this is worth a watch. So I digress. And this is not my review anyway. I keep putting my amplified input into it, but I gotta go with what JR9 is dishing here. So let's get back to this review. Trick had a good showcase, defeating Gulak ahead of his match with the Dragunov. Trick has improved a lot over the past year in the ring. If he keeps this up, he has a great chance of doing big things in the future. This may be a bit bold, but I feel he could even surpass Mello. Whoa, that is really bold, bro. Trick surpassing Mello. You know what? Could be, man. Could be. He's got all the attributes. If he can connect, it's off to the races. Bold statement, but I like it. Moving on. Ali had a vignette. Mustafa Ali had a vignette as if he was holding a president's speech and was running a campaign to become North American champ. It was easily one of the best worked promos Ali has done. This gimmick is something Ali actually pitched to Vince a few years back, but Vince refused to let him do it. Now, I'm not a massive Ali fan, but this delivered, and it's great to see HBK give Ali the creative freedom to do it. Pretty cool to hear. I'm still against Ali even being there with Baron Corbin and the Judgment Day and Dana Brooke and everybody else. But I'm glad he's at least getting some freedom, maybe being booked a little better in NXT. Wes beat Dijak in a very good match to earn an NXT title match next week at Heatwave. Both just gel really well together. Plus, this match had very good psychology with both selling a different body part perfectly. Shoulder for Wes, leg for Dijak. Eddie Thorpe cost Dijak, so at least Dijak was protected. I'm so glad you put that in there, because I was going to get amplified just now, Jer9, man. Dijak, after the match he had with Dragunov a few months ago, and the way that he lost and did the deed to Dragunov, which was absolutely justified in the way it should have been, you just can't have little Wes Lee defeat Dijak. I'm not on board with that. But if you're telling me it's setting something else, setting something up for Dijak, and Wes can still get a little bit of limelight back from losing his title to Dominic and then not getting it back from Dominic, then okay, maybe there was more right here than wrong done. Then to end the show, Wes and Mello had a great contract signing. Both were really good on the mic. Wes has got way more fired up in his promos as of late, which is paying off as his words sound a lot more believable. Hey, maybe he's a listener of the podcast, Jer9. Because that's all I've asked from Wes Lee. I can't have that connection. I don't believe his words. The fans are going to sleep when he talks. If he can just get amplified, make us believe in it, make people care, Wes Lee can take it to the next level. So that is really good to hear. Where are we going here? Wes played the underdog role, saying people have doubted and said that he can't do something for his entire life, and he always proves them wrong. Mello, on the other hand, played his arrogant role well by saying it's a guarantee that Wes can't beat him. Jer9, I don't see how Wes is going to beat Mello anyway. So I kind of agree with Mello's statements in his promo. Just really good stuff, ending with both signing the contract and Wes jumping through the table before staring down Mello. Jumping through the table? Both signing the contract and Wes jumped through the table. Did he just have a case of the fucking puppy zoomies? He just went wild and went through a table? I expect Mello to retain, which could lead to Wes snapping and turning heel in frustration after coming up short again. Yeah, there's no way that he can beat Mello, man. I totally agree, and I didn't think about that. Turn heel, and hopefully people will care enough to go along for that journey. A heel Wes Lee. Thankfully, JC won a match on NXT TV, defeating Thea Hale in a good match. Both have very strong chemistry. It was a via roll-up. Oh no! After Andre Chase accidentally distracted Thea, but JC getting the victory is most important right now. Now, hopefully she gets a run of wins and then is back in a big story. But regardless, very happy with last night's results. Plus, the story of Thea's frustration with Chase is being told really well. Now for the negatives. First of all, I gotta say, congratulations for seeing your girl on NXT TV, brah. Again, maybe they listen to the podcast. JR9 has been claiming more. JC, damn it. You got JC and in a winning effort. Now for the negatives, Blair vs. Dana was a poor match. Correct result of Blair winning, but the match was horrendous. Dana just isn't good enough, and that made that match sloppy. Dana just isn't working in NXT. Well, she didn't really work in WWE's main roster either, so I guess we shouldn't be surprised. And that's sad to say, because they sent her to NXT to see if something would click. Braun is still in NXT, wanting another match with Vaughn, while also teasing a match with Corbin. Like, seriously, nobody needs or wants to see any of that. Braun's booking continues to be ridiculous. Man, I can't even believe that they're doing that, man. Braun Breaker's still in NXT. How is that even... He went on a losing streak. You thought at any moment that was to set up his main roster debut. He even appeared on Raw Backstage one week. And now he's just in matches with Von Wagner and Baron Corbin in NXT? I'm getting amplified by reading this. Bate was attacked by a returning Dabakato. Oh boy, he found his way out of the fight pit? Or what do you call it, man? Raw Underground. He found his way out of Raw Underground. I hate this, as Bate is probably just going to be fed to Daba for literally no reason, as WWE don't book giants correctly. Tyler should be in a main event spot on NXT. After all, he is the guy who went 40 minutes versus Gunther at TakeOver Cardiff 2019. He is that good. He deserves better. Tiffany only had a 1-minute vignette saying she'll be at Heatwave. You honestly forget she is the champion since she's never in anything meaningful. The reign has sucked, so her appearance next week better be creative and actually set up a storyline. I still believe JC vs. Gigi's cage match should have been for the title at Battleground. I think either of them could have done better with the title than Tiffany has. Yeah, Tiffany's one of the best to do it today, man. It's sad to see they're not giving her the proper booking. A 1-minute vignette on a Tuesday night NXT is not going to cut it. Overall, this was the best NXT show in 2 months. Not flawless, but they did a good job of progressing stories and building the heat wave, without the main roster talent taking as much spotlight. They took up like 15 minutes in total, while the rest went to the NXT talent. Goes to show you, if just the NXT talent appears, the spotlight on the show, I can fucking speak. It goes to show if you just give the NXT talent the spotlight, the show improves. The rating was lower at 680,000, but honestly, it's better to sacrifice some ratings to create a better product that actually develops younger talent. I said that earlier in the podcast as well. Sometimes you got to give a little to take a little. Up next is Heatwave. I'm looking forward to it. Dar vs. Frazier, Mello vs. West, Trick vs. Dragunov should all be pretty good, which hopefully maintains the positive momentum coming out of this week. And that concludes this week's NXT report and review. Extensive and amplified as always. Big thanks to JR9 Gaming. You know, you can miss these shows and still get caught up in one of these reports. Snap of a finger, blink of an eye, drop of a hat, you'll get all caught up with NXT. That's how extensive they are. So big thanks to JR9. That does it for this podcast, guys. Until next time, and there will be a next time. SmackDown tonight, so look forward to the review this weekend. BC will cover SmackDown in its entirety. A full amplified review. Could be audio format only. I'm trying to wrap up business this week, man. I truly am. There's a lot to get to. Especially when these podcasts are this long in length. I'm just pushing back business that I have to attend to. But regardless, whether it's audio format only, you are going to get a fully amplified SmackDown review, so be on the lookout for it. Until next time, there will be a next time. Top Guy, I'm out. BC saying check you.